Hi everyone, my name is Laura. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. I'm really excited to be talking about some of my favorite plants today. So I'll be doing a collection tour of all of my philodendron. I think I have them all. They're all sitting in front of me. I have this table that's just like covered in plants right now. I think I have them all. So we're gonna go through, look at all of my philodendron. These are in no particular order. Like I said, I just have a table full of plants right in front of me, and I'm just gonna grab them. Just gonna grab them randomly, and we'll just get what I grab. The first plant I have here in front of me is my Philodendron burl. This little guy is in leca, and that's how I got him. Again, if you've seen any of my past videos, you'll know that I'm not great with leca, or I don't really know what I'm doing with leca. I'm not like bad with leca, I just don't know what I'm doing, but my Philodendron burl is in leca because that's how I got him. And he has not popped out any new leaves, but he came with a little bit of damage, and I knew that when I was getting him, so no big deal. And he has a bunch of new little growth points coming in. Up next, this plant, I'm a little ashamed to show it, but I'm just gonna show it. It's my Philodendron black cardinal. It's not doing great. When I got it, it wasn't doing great, and it's just doing worse and worse. It's like wiggly in the pot. I really need to repot it because I think some of the roots died. It has a new leaf coming in though, which I think is a good sign. And some of the leaves had a bunch of damage on them, so I just like snipped off the damage again. Just snipped off the damage. I don't know if that's like bad for them, but it just looked really gross. I don't know. Not my favorite plant right now. I think they look really beautiful when they're healthy. I'm hoping this guy will turn around, but I've had him for a few months now, and he's really just wiggly in his pot. Yeah, Philodendron black cardinal. I kind of want to show you him kind of from the top without all the dirt spilling out. Next, I have my Philodendron Bipennifolium. I always like mix up the Bipennifolium and the Pedatum, but this is the Bipennifolium. I got it as a one-leaf cutting, but as you can see, let's see, can you see? Yeah, you can see. It has a bunch of roots, a bunch of nice happy roots all over the place. So I'm really excited. This plant rooted up really easily for me in sphagnum moss. And if you'd like to see a video about how I root in sphagnum moss, let me know. I had filmed one before, and then the audio wasn't right. There was like no audio. I don't really know what happened, and so I just ended up deleting it and not refilming it for some reason. But if you'd like me to film one, I can do one on how I root in sphagnum. It's my favorite way to root. Let's look at all those roots. Woo. So like I said, I got this as a one node, one leaf cutting. It has a new leaf coming in, which I'm super excited about. And I love the shape of this plant. This is also called the horsehead philodendron. Yeah, it's a cool plant. I really like it. It has really big leaves. Really pretty. Next is my Philodendron Brantianum, or Philodendron brandy. If you watched my plants I don't like, or plant disappointments, I forget what I actually called the video, I'll link it. You know I don't like this plant. It's just like weird to me. It's gangly. It has a bunch of new growth, but what is that? What is that? Just explain this to me. What is this? Is this supposed to be a leaf? Like a full-grown, like how is that? Let me turn this around. How's that a leaf? I don't know. I even bought another one. So I have another Philodendron Brantianum that I got is not a rehab, because I got this one as a rehab, and I thought, you know, maybe I don't like it because I got it as a rehab and I was expecting it to be this like beautiful, luscious plant. So I got another one to give it a second chance. I also don't like it. It also is growing kind of like gangly and spindly and weird. I don't love it, but since this is in all my philodendron video, it is going to be in it. That's Philodendron Brantianum. And if you like this plant, power to you. Power to you. Maybe you'll have a pretty plant. Maybe both of mine are just meh. Next, I have one that I'm super duper excited about because when I first got it, I thought it was dead. It is my Philodendron Painted Lady. I got it as a one node, one leaf cutting. So it just had this one leaf, and it was a one node cutting, no roots. And the node was probably about this big, which if you have rooted plants from cuttings, you know that's probably pretty small for a node and a leaf cutting. So it was tiny, and I thought that the gal who had clipped it for me maybe didn't leave enough of the stem for it to root, and I had it sitting in water for months, like months. I'm not even kidding. It was probably like 5 or 6 months, and I almost threw it away. I was almost just like giving up on it. But then I decided to just give it one more chance, and look at those roots. I put it in sphagnum. Again, if you want me to do a video on how I root in sphagnum, I put it in sphagnum, and within a week, I'm not even kidding, within a week, it grew roots and it grew 2 leaves. You can see one right there and a teeny tiny one right there. And it has another, like a growth point, like coming up right here. I don't know if you can see all of that, but yeah, I am so proud of this plant because I really didn't think it was gonna make it. And this is one of my favorite philodendron. I just think it's so beautiful. The pattern on the leaves, so beautiful. I love the pattern on this new baby leaf that we got here. So cute. And I'm so proud of this plant. I'm just so proud of how far it's come. This plant, you also probably have seen it if you have seen my plant disappointments, plants I don't like, plant regrets video. It is my Philodendron Brazil. I repotted it since and put it in this kind of cuter pot to see if maybe I could love it. And you know, it has grown on me. It has some bigger leaves that it's put out. Some of it kind of died in the repot process. Since then, it's been happier, and I clipped it up on this. It's just a bamboo stake, but I think it's doing better. It has some new growth. It grew a couple of leaves that were not variegated at all, and so I clipped those off, but you know, it has some new growth. I think it's looking good. It's looking better, definitely, than when I had it before. And I'm starting to like it more. I think my favorite leaves are the ones that have just a little bit of that green in them. Like these super green leaves, or obviously the whole leaf is green, but these super like variegated leaves are not my favorite. I really like the ones that just have like that subtle stripe right down the middle, like the really tiny stripe down the middle. Those are really cool. So yeah. Philodendron Brazil. This plant is another one that I grew from a 1-leaf, 1-node cutting. It is my Philodendron Campo sportoanum, or Philodendron Campo. I got one mature leaf cutting, and since then it put out a teeny tiny baby leaf. It's putting out another leaf right there. You can see that. And it's putting out another big leaf right there. Again, this is another one that I got as a cutting. I get a lot of my kind of rarer or like more uncommon plants as cuttings because they're a lot more inexpensive, and ever since I started rooting in sphagnum, I have had a lot of success. Like, can you see those roots? You can see those roots. It's even growing really awesome aerial roots up here. I think you can see that right there. And another one on this side. So ever since I started rooting in sphagnum, here's another fuzzy white root, and right there, I've had a lot of really awesome success, and so I feel really comfortable buying like 1-node, 1-leaf cuttings, which is a lot more inexpensive than buying like a full-grown like adult plant. And they root up pretty quickly, especially philodendron. I feel like philodendron in general are pretty easy to care for. They root up really quickly and they grow really quickly. So I have had this 1-leaf, 1-node cutting probably for about, I don't know, like a month and a half maybe, not that long. And it's already put out one teeny tiny leaf, putting out a new leaf here, and it's putting out a new leaf here. So tons of growth really quickly. Love, love, love rooting in sphagnum for that reason. Up next, I have this big guy here. This is my philodendron. I've heard it being called a handful of different things. I've heard philodendron golden goddess, and I've heard philodendron lemon lime upright or neon upright, something like that. So I'm not quite sure. I looked both of them up, and this plant looks like both of them. So this is that. I really enjoy the bright like neon green leaves. I really like the shape of it. It has that like really elongated shape. And I like that it's an upright philodendron. I have a lot of like trailing philodendron. I like that this is one of like a big upright philodendron. They're not that expensive and not that hard to find. So you could usually find these at like your local big box stores or like nurseries. Almost every nursery that I have gone to has these. And they're really, really quick growers, and they're super, super easy to take care of. Has a little bit of a yellow leaf. Ignore that from when I overwatered it once. This here is probably one of my favorite philodendrons, if not my favorite philodendrons, and definitely in my top like 5 for favorite houseplants. This is my Heartleaf philodendron. This is just the green variety, but I love this plant. I love how quick it grows. I love how much it trails. I just love the shape of the leaves. I love how easygoing it is. I have mine in a north window, and honestly, it probably gets about like 7 or 8 hours of light in that north window because it hangs on a curtain rod in my bedroom, and so I have to like remove it, like put it there in the mornings and take it out at nights. And I don't always remember to put it there right when I wake up in the morning. So it honestly doesn't even get a full day's light in a north window, and it just is growing, popping off growth, and the leaves can get super massive. And when they come in, they're kind of this, let's see if I can find one. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera. Oh, I don't think the camera's picking that up, but they come in this kind of orangey color. Oh, this one might. Nope, it's not picking it up. But anyway, they come in this kind of orangey color, and then, oh, this one, it kind of is picking it up. And then they slowly harden off and turn this like really bright green. And they're it's such a beautiful shaped plant. They grow really full, unlike like pothos, for example. Another very popular like trailing plant. I don't see them growing this full. Like they usually just get like very gangly or leggy, but this is a plant that grows full, and I love that about it. I love a good trailing plant that grows really, really full. Next, I have my Philodendron Birkin. This is another one of my disappointment plants if you've watched that video. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty plant. I just wish that it would retain its variegation longer. I think that's the issue I found with this plant, is that I just really wish it would retain its variegation longer, because these variegated leaves, this is the newest leaf that it has, are beautiful. Like this is beautiful, beautiful variegation. But give it like a couple months and it's just gonna turn into this, which nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with the green plant. Like I just said, the Heartleaf philodendron is one of my favorites, and it's just a plain old green plant. But when you can get this on the plant, it's kind of disappointing to watch it go from this, like to this, you know. Really beautiful if it could all maintain this kind of variegation. And I did have it under a grow light for a really long time, and I didn't see its variegation sticking around any longer or getting more intense in the new growth, and so I just moved it. So yeah, that's my Philodendron Birkin. Next up is one of my all-time favorite philodendron and another one of my all-time favorite plants, and that is the Philodendron micans. This plant is such a beautiful plant. I am in love with the Velvety philodendron. I hope that the camera's catching that, how much it's just, it like almost shines. Do you see that? Isn't that awesome? I love these Velvety philodendron. I've gotten really, really obsessed with them recently. And this plant, I don't know if you've seen my, I think it was January 2021 houseplant tour. This plant had just like maybe 6 leaves on it, maybe. Super fast grower. It needs a lot less light than you think. It's on this cute little trellis, and these leaves are just incredible. Look at that. The heck, Mother Nature, this is so cool. And I want to pull out another plant so that I can show them to you side by side. My next philodendron, let me reach over and grab it, is my Philodendron Melanochrysum. And this is like immature or like young version of the Melanochrysum, and it does look a lot like the micans. But I did want to show kind of the differences between the two, since a lot of people see the younger Melanochrysums and confuse them for micans. Not going to confuse the price tag though, trust me. But you can see the veining is a little bit different, where the Melanochrysum has a lot more of that prominent veining, and the micans does not. So these are not the same plant. I'm going to put the micans away now and talk about my Melanochrysum. So I love this Melanochrysum. I recently unboxed it in one of my videos, and since I unboxed it, it has put out these 2 new leaves, which is awesome. So I have this in sphagnum in a little glass yogurt container, which are some of my favorite little containers to have little plants in sphagnum in, and I have it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which I can do a video about, and it's the only philodendron that I have in there because I am just wanting it to grow and grow and grow, and I will be putting it on a moss pole. I already have a moss pole for it once it does grow a little bit more. So that's my Melanochrysum. Another beautiful velvety philodendron. Look at that. Look at those leaves. They're just so velvety. They like almost shine. Do you see that? Okay, now I'm at the point in this video where I had like 50 plants in front of me, and now I don't know which ones I have already shown you because I didn't do them in any particular order, and I regret that now. So I'm gonna pull a random plant, and hopefully I haven't shown it to you already, otherwise I'll just have to edit it out. But yes, let's look at my Philodendron Silver Sword next. Look at this monster of a plant. I'm pretty sure I showed this to you in my like top 11 easiest houseplants video, and it was probably half the size. It grows insanely fast. I have cut this plant a couple of times to share with friends, and it has still like doubled in size. You can just see that. I'm gonna try to hold it down here so you can see the very top of it. That is a massive plant. That's a massive plant. And it's always throwing new leaves all over. New leaf, new leaf, new leaf. All of these up here, new leaves. It is just a monster of a plant, and I love it. Super, super easy going. A little bit hard to find, but if you can get your hands on one, it's a plant worth splurging on because you literally will not die on you. It literally will not die on you. I think you'd have to try to kill this plant because I have forgotten about it, I've neglected it, and it's doing great. Like, and the color of the leaves are so like unique. Let's see if we can get this big leaf. Aha. Look at that, like silver color, silvery, kind of bluey green. That is awesome. Another one of my favorite plants. Multiple times throughout this video, I've probably already said it, and I'm gonna continue to say that these are some of my favorite plants, but that's because philodendron are some of my favorite plants. So if I had to like name my top 5 favorite plants, most of them would be philodendron. So yes, this is one of my favorite plants. It's my Philodendron Pedatum Silver Sword. Next here I have my Philodendron Pedatum. It has 2 leaves. I got this also as a cutting, but it was a 2-leaf cutting. It has 2 growth points, and it had these 2 leaves, and it has now put out just tiny baby leaf. I guess it's not all the way done putting it out, but it has this tiny little baby leaf that it's working on putting out. I don't want to touch it in case I mess with it, and then it has another little baby coming out right there. So this is my Pedatum. I love this leaf shape on plants, and a lot of philodendron have similar leaf shapes, and I have a couple more to show you that have similar leaf shapes. I just think they're so cool. I think it's such a cool leaf shape. Look at that. It's almost like a little star up here. It has the little lobes and then just pointy at the bottom. They're so beautiful. Up next, this plant is looking a little rough, so please pardon this plant. It was an import. I got it through a company that imports plants into the US. If you want me to do a video about imports, I've imported a few plants. Now I could talk a little bit about my experience importing them. Just let me know if you'd like to see that. But yes, this is an import. This is another plant that's similar to the Pedatum, has that like leaf shape where it has like the kind of pointy lobes up here and the elongated bottom. This plant did come with 3 leaves. It has since lost 1, and another one is on its way out the door, which is fine. I totally expect that from import plants, and I have it in sphagnum, trying to root it up. Its roots were not great. You can see some of them are kind of dead. So I am just hoping that this plant will root up nicely. It does have, let's see if you can see that, it does have some nice new roots in here. Again, I love sphagnum for rooting plants and for rescuing plants. It is really my favorite medium. But yes, it does have some nice new roots. This came in probably 2-3 weeks ago, so I'm not surprised that it's not doing great, but it is putting out a new leaf, so I am super happy about it. I don't know if I ever said the name of this plant. Did I ever say the name of this plant? This is a Philodendron Squamiferum. I definitely did not say that earlier. Philodendron squamiferum. So these plants are super well known for their red kind of fuzzy, can you see that? You definitely cannot see that. They have these like red fuzzy petioles. You can probably see the fuzzy on there. The red is not coming through real lot on camera. It's looking kind of more brown, but the petioles are nice and red and they are fuzzy. They feel kind of bizarre to the touch if you do touch them. And they're just such bizarre little plants and I love that about them. So yeah, that's my Philodendron squamiferum. Up next, I have this beauty of a plant. This is another philodendron with a really fun leaf shape. I love how like wrinkly the leaves are. This is the Philodendron Hope. I've also heard it called Philodendron Siloam or something like that. So I looked it up. They both look like the same plant to me. I can't tell the difference. And this was sold to me as a Philodendron Hope, so that's what I'm gonna call it. But yes, I love this plant. This plant does get really massive and I can't wait until mine does because it's gonna look so cool and jungly in my home. But I just love how ruffly the leaves get. Like this is a more mature leaf. Look at that, that's so freaking cool. The baby leaves are a little bit less exciting, but still beautiful. And the more mature leaves have that like fun philodendron-y look and have really wavy edges. So yeah, Philodendron Hope. Next, you have probably seen this plant if you watched my latest houseplant unboxing video, but this is my Philodendron 69686. Yes, I finally learned the name of it. It did have 2 leaves when I got it. One of them unfortunately did die off, but that is okay. It does have a new leaf coming in. The leaf that it had on there just kind of started turning yellow and I just snipped it off, but that's okay. It still looks great. The older leaf or the newer leaf that it had did end up hardening off and it looks beautiful. I love, love, love the leaf shape on this plant. I love how massive the leaves are. I mean, they are really skinny, but they're just like really tall. Like they're taller than my face. And I love the growth pattern on it. It's just like kind of crazy and I can't wait for this plant to get a little bit bigger. Another plant that I have in sphagnum, it did come in sphagnum and I will keep it in sphagnum for a little longer because I love sphagnum. Yeah, Philodendron 69686. Okay, I promise we're almost done. There's this one and then one more. So this is my unknown philodendron. I know I've introduced this plant as a Philodendron burl marx, but I have a suspicion that it's not. I have a suspicion it is a Biliata, or Biliata, I'm not really sure. I've seen it pronounced both ways. I had a couple of you let me know that it looked more like a Philodendron Biliata or Biliata than a Philodendron burl marx, and I do have my suspicions that it is a Philodendron Biliata and not a burl marx. I do have my burl marx right here. I'm gonna hold it up next to it and we're gonna compare. Well, that's a really crappy shot. We're gonna compare the leaf shape. I don't want to drop leck all over the place, but this looks like a very different plant to me, and to a lot of you it looked like a very different plant. So I am showing it as a different plant, though it might still be a burl marx because that is what it was sold to me as. It might just be a more mature burl marx or just slightly different looking burl marx. But this burl marx does have the more rounded leaves and the smaller kind of lobes up here, whereas this has the more elongated. I'll put the burl marx away. It has the more elongated leaves and the kind of taller and skinnier lobes. So yeah, I'm not sure. This might be a burl marx. Again, it was sold to me as a burl marx, but I have my suspicions that it's not. And so do many of you. And this is another one that I rooted up in sphagnum, and as you can see, the roots are going out of control. Like the roots on this thing are massive. I'm a little worried about how in the world I'm gonna get it out of here. But yes, when I got it, a lot of the leaves were sad. A couple of the leaves did get cut off because they turned completely yellow. I think there was one here and like one down here, something like that. I didn't end up losing as many leaves as I thought I was. So if you have seen that video of my houseplant tour where I did introduce this plant, I did think I was gonna lose all the leaves, but I didn't. I didn't end up losing all the leaves. I only lost 2. And it has a ton of little growth points. Oh my gosh. I had a heart attack for 2 seconds. I thought, gosh. I had a heart attack. Okay, for 2 seconds I thought there were spider mites on this thing. It's just a little spider web. And I know it's a spider web because there's a little spider living in it. it can stay. It can live on my little plant. That's fine. As long as it's not spider mites, it can live on my plant. So yeah, Philodendron burl marks / Philodendron Biliata / Philodendron Biliata. We'll see. I don't know. If you know, if you can tell me for sure, or like make a really educated guess with me on what this is, please let me know down below. I would like to ID my plant, please. Last but not least, I have this teeny tiny little guy. This is my pride and joy, my Philodendron Silver Splash. I got this as a cutting from a local planty friend, and look at that cutie patootie. I love the silver on this plant. It is very similar to the Philodendron Brazil, but the coloring is a little different. And actually, I ripped one of the leaves off the Brazil on accident, so my bad. But now we can use it to compare the two colors between the two. One has a lot more of that cream and that silver, and the Philodendron Brazil has more of that neon green. So you can kind of see the difference between the two on the variegation. And this is another one, like I said, I did get it as a 1-node 1-leaf cutting, and I have rooted it in sphagnum. This one took a little bit longer to root than most of my philodendron do, but as you can see, has a nice healthy root. And I'm super, super proud that I rooted this plant up, because this was one of the first like fancier plants that I tried rooting on my own, and it's doing awesome. He's growing so much. I'm so proud of him. I have him in a little glass enclosure terrarium where I keep the humidity really high in there, and I keep him under, well, near a grow light. I don't keep him directly under a grow light, but I do keep him near a grow light and near a window where it stays like nice and warm, nice and humid, nice and bright, and it has rooted up amazingly for me. And I do use little glass terrariums for a lot of my plants for rooting. I use them a lot for Hoya philodendron. I use it for my strings of things plants, and if you'd like me to do a video on how I do use these for rooting, just let me know. I would love to make one. Yeah, that is the very last plant that I'm going to talk about today. That is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know down below and give me a thumbs up, and let me know which of my philodendrons are your favorites. I think my favorites are probably my Heartleaf philodendron, my silver sword, my Squamiferum, and my Melanochrysum. Those are my 4 favorites, I think. Do you have any philodendron that you love that I did not include in this video, because I'm always on the hunt for more and more philodendron? Just let me know, and I am probably gonna go look for it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!